This is the song that we sing to our family on vacation. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. And we expect our family to sing back, oh, Dad, oh, husband, I'll give you what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna, and we just fill in the blanks of all the I wannas. I want sex, I want time with my kids, I want adventure, I want good food. We just start filling in the blanks. We have no conversation, but we're just, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I wanna.
This is the Untamed Podcast, where only the few dare to go. We're building a community of adventurous high achievers who refuse to trade our dreams for comfortable mediocrity so that we can unleash our untamed potential. Could you be one of the untamed few? Now, your untamed hosts, Mark Lucas and Joel Fritz.
Mark, it's the vacation episode.
I was wondering, the flip-flops and I got the white hat on. It is vacation episode.
Hey, we are in June and we know people are out having a good time.
Yes.
So Mark made us some
here too.
Mocktails. Yeah, if you have never had a good mocktail, come and join Mark. Boom.
Cheers.
Let's try cheers.
To vacations.
Well, I'm making a mess already. So
we thought we might lose the fruit. You just have a hole in your lip and you
That's
spilled.
right. I just have a hole. But we wanted to address some cool stuff and what we can do with our vacations because we want to make sure that we're making the most of every part of our lives. And vacations are such a great opportunity to connect with our families. So
they really are. And right now on your playlist, wherever you might be on vacation, right now in this moment, one of Joel's favorite bands is Spice Girls. And I want you to think through this song, because this is really, without saying it, this is the song that we sing to our family on vacation. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. And we expect our family to sing back, oh, Dad, oh, husband, I'll give you what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna, and we just fill in the blanks of all the I wannas. I want sex, I want time with my kids, I want adventure, I want good food. We just start filling in the blanks. We have no conversation, but we're just, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I wanna.
And so you create a recipe for disaster, which is why then you find yourself deep into the cocktail at night.
Deep into these.
But so
chronically dissatisfied.
But a big part of why that happens is because we all have different upbringings. There's different expectations that we have on vacation. And when we were talking about this, a story came to mind. Hold on a second.
That's pretty good.
I do like that.
I'm not a mixologist, but that's
excellent.
That's not bad.
Well done. Well done. So one of my most interesting, I would say favorite vacation stories, but I got to stick with favorite is probably like I had the best time ever. This is one of my most interesting.
Yeah.
Vacation stories. And it was the first vacation that I went on when Kristen and I were newly married, and it was her family, the whole family, right? So her brother, she has one brother, and he was early married. And so we all went and we stayed in the same condo, 3-bedroom condo with her mom and dad, her brother and his wife, and Kristen and I. And I was like, this is really cool. We were at the beach. We were down on 30A.
Nice.
And so it was a nice spot.
In Florida, for those that don't know.
In Florida, that's right. And so I was pretty pumped to be there.
Yep.
I was really pumped right up until...
You arrived.
Almost. Right up until the grocery store incident. I just call it an incident.
I see where this is going. Okay, yeah.
So what happened is we're there, and Mr. and Mrs. Mother and father-in-law went off to the grocery store. They said, we're going to get food. And I'm like, awesome. That's what you do.
Is that what you call them before they went to the grocery store? Mr. and Mrs. Mother-in-law. So the story makes a little more sense now.
I feel okay about it. I mean, do you have a problem with
No, I'm good with it.
It's a term of reverence.
I don't do it, but I'm
reverence
good with it, yes.
and endearment.
Okay, I love it. Keep going.
So,
yeah.
Well, the way that this story goes, Mark.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I interrupted.
So they go off to the store, and then they come back. Now, let me paint a quick picture of how my family vacationed. We would drive somewhere. Some of my favorite memories that I have were actually in San Clemente, California. And we go to Camp Pendleton because my dad's good buddy, who actually lives here in Atlanta, was a Marine, and we'd go every single summer. Well, where's the first stop? We would land, pitch the tents, and drive straight to Costco. And then we would come back, and you're just flooded with food, and you just chow. Now, there's three boys in the family. We were all adventure, all on. So I get on this vacation, I expect things to be relatively similar. I understood the family's not the same family, but I expected them to be similar. So they said, we're going to get food. I said, great.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Well,
Must be a Costco nearby.
There must be a Costco. I'll be here and I'll be ready to eat when you come back.
Bring me some samples from Costco.
I hear the door open. They come in. I come back off the balcony and I'm ready to eat. And I opened up the refrigerator door and I went, oh no. Oh God, what am I going to do? There was I promise you.
Yeah.
There was a bag of cold cuts.
One bag.
Not like a pound, mind you, like a half pound.
The little bag of cold cuts?
Cold cuts.
It's not a
there
lot.
There was a pack of water bottles and a key lime pie. And
at least the key lime pie was there.
Yes, that was the best part of the whole deal. My heart stopped, and I did not know what I was going to do.
Right.
Like I was just like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die on this vacation. They're going to starve me to death. What just happened?
It's like Survivor Island with Joel and his family.
This was my
Mr.
moment.
and Mrs. Mother-in-law starving you. Jeff Probst
and they're filming and laughing.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. He doesn't know what to do. So
Mr. Son-in-law is going to die of
people
starvation.
talk about anxiety. I felt that this was no joke. I did not know what was going to happen. I thought the whole vacation is being flushed down the toilet.
Yeah.
There's nothing left. But this is my example of what expectations are like.
Yeah.
That is the moment when I realized, whoa, Kristen's idea of vacationing is going to be very different than my idea of vacationing, which I already had a good idea because we've been married for a couple of years at that point. But now I started to understand why. Yeah. I mean, my upbringing here, her upbringing here, and that refrigerator was telling the tale.
So everybody has to know, at some point you had to get more food, right?
Yeah,
was that really the food for the week?
Of course. I mean, but it was but what you have to imagine, if you want clarification, they went shopping. Yeah. And then I'm like, they went shopping. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to go to the store. So I get right back in the car as soon as they came. And I go back to the store and buy food because I'm like, I don't know what just happened, right? But it's also to get one level deeper. This is not a slight on the family at all, but
of course,
when we sit down to dinner, I eat the same amount as her family of and I don't even think it's that much. Like my cousins will eat me under the table, but I literally sit down with Kristen's family and it's like, I just put it on. And everybody's just
There's
like, well,
Joel's portion and then the family of five. That's not Joel. It's equivalent.
So I don't know what that says about me, Untamed Few. Comment below.
Yeah.
I'm open to hearing it.
I love food. I have no judgment.
That is the truth.
I would probably be in the exact same category. But I think it's a beautiful story in so many ways. I think, again, back to the Spice Girl song. You didn't probably, with Mr. and Mrs. Mother-in-law, communicate the expectation that you had with food, right? Yeah. And you just expected, had expectations that there was going to be the ample amount of food that you're used to having on vacation. Absolutely. And obviously the expectations were so different.
They were very different.
So different. So
scary different.
And how often does that happen? And yet, if we don't have proactive conversations leading into vacation, then we're just kind of like grumpy and chronically dissatisfied walking around the pool or the beach or wherever we are in the forest, and we just are grouchy.
Yeah.
Like we're prickly. Mm-hmm. We're just grouchy. And this whole conversation is to set us up for a better vacation.
That's right.
To be able to connect with those that we love and to be able to have these proactive conversations on the front side. So let's just dive right in.
Right.
We got a plan. We got stay with us to the end because we got some clear nuggets to give you of some conversations to have with your family.
Yeah.
To be able to set you up for a great, successful vacation.
You got it. And we're using that word success a lot. And so we're actually saying, how can your vacation be successful? And so we're going to propose a way to do that. And it's actually really simple. We'll talk about it the whole time. But actually, I'll just give a frame of reference of where we're heading and we'll tell them how to implement it at the end. But what we're going to be talking about is actually creating 3 categories. And looking at those categories is the reality of the expectations. The first one is asking the question, is there anything that we can do mutually, that we all mutually enjoy? And figuring those out. And that category is what we start with, because forget about you, forget about what you want and what the other people want, and say, well, what would we all be able to do? And that's going to be the hardest category to address. It really is.
Right.
Because if you're anything like my family, I mean, I have gluten. So when we talk about food, like everybody's gluten-free but me. Going to restaurants can really be a pain. I mean, it's interesting how it kind of filters down real quick to like, we don't have very many options, but we've got to figure those options out. Well, it's the same with the activities that you do.
Yep.
Whatever it is, you have to ask yourself on vacation, what can we do that we can get a mutual experience together that we can actually grow in relationships? So that's the first category. What does everybody like? Mm-hmm. And the second category is, what does my wife or what do the kids, what does the family like that I don't like? Yeah. Do you get that right there? You're actually introducing this idea where I'm not going to like it. This is what they like and I don't like. And then the final category is, what do I like that they don't like? And that's the key, because right there, that's the Spice Girls song where we're saying that's the expectation we come in with, whether it be food. And I'm like, well, I like and expect that refrigerator to be overflowing. When it's not their expectation at all, that's where we get in trouble. In fact, they want the opposite. So we don't want to get ourselves in trouble, and we want to find mutual connection. So if we can categorize those three things right off the bat, then we can have great conversation with our family members before we go on vacation and use it to the best.
That's so good. It's so solid. And I think at the end of the day, let's go back to that first category, which is the hardest category. So the things that we mutually, we're all singing the Spice Girls song and we say, I wanna. They're all saying collectively, whoever's going on this trip, these are things we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think one of the things that I've done wrong and I'm getting better at with more intentionality is do a little research where you're going. You and I both are guys that love excursions.
Yes.
You and I both like to do adventurous excursions when we get to wherever we're going on vacation. Mm-hmm. So I've got some of that in the list of things that I'm suggesting that we can do together. They all might say a hard no to those things. But then I'm just doing a little research of things that, you know what, I think might be good for the girls, might be good for my wife, my son, my friends, my colleagues, whoever's going on the trip. Just give them some options to be able to kind of talk through a dinner, a hangout on a Sunday night at home, a conversation through text exchange with people that you're going with. Just have some mutual exchange, but do a little work to give like a list of 7 or 8.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of work. We're talking like 10 minutes. The whole
10
difference
minutes in Grandpa Google.
You got it.
Yeah.
And the whole difference is like what happens is that we never do any of it. We never make a moment to just say, I need 10 minutes where I just think through what do these people enjoy doing.
Right.
And that's all you have to do. Now, here's the critical mistake though, is what people often do in that is they take that last one, what I like to do, and they overlay it. And then they try and force the itinerary. And you know what I don't like? I don't like a forced itinerary. You know what most people don't like? A forced itinerary.
Right.
So especially if you're going with friends or people that don't know you well, don't try and demand. Go ahead and ask questions. Well, would you like this and would you like that? And you know what? When you give people 5 options, usually they're able to say, oh, I really like that idea. And then once you get suggestions, and you do this with your kids, they love buy-in. They love that kind of a thing. And when they buy in, they're much more likely to participate without complaining and be excited about it.
That's really good, because ultimately and you and I have similar stories, and we all have stories like this. If we don't do the things that we're talking about right now and be proactive and intentional, I remember in Cabo, this has happened probably a small number of times, but my family, speaking of vacations, probably the best thing my wife and I ever purchased when we first got married. You walk in, we've all probably experienced the timeshare. But we come in to Cabo San Lucas. It's an easy flight from Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah. And I mean, they sniff you out like nobody's business when you get off the plane. And especially this very first time, Tam and I were just married, maybe like 2.5, 3 years married. And we land in Cabo. And it's like literally you walk through this gauntlet. And it is just like you are blood in the water. And there's a bunch of piranhas that are circling. So you walk through this gauntlet, this big tunnel, and all of these different timeshare reps are waiting with their pictures and their clipboards. And when you don't know what you don't know, when you walk into that, You were a sucker.
Yeah.
I mean, we were suckers.
Yeah.
And we got sucked into this timeshare at a great resort that we ended up saying yes to. It's called Playa Grande. But I mean, there were probably 40 different offers that we had before we said yes to the one. And I remember it was the second day of vacation, and my wife likes champagne, and they had a great breakfast for us, and we're obviously facing the beach. So they've wined and dined us.
Yeah.
Okay. Then at the end, they got Johnny Closer that's coming in. And Johnny Closer is literally going to sell.
I know this guy.
He's going to sell his kid and his kidney to be able to close.
But you're worth it.
This timeshare to the Lucases. Okay. And we said yes to this timeshare. And I'm telling you, Joel, it was the greatest thing because it has now prepaid vacations for us. Yeah. So this is not a timeshare podcast.
So
down below,
our whole solution.
Johnny Closer is ready to sell you a
take your
timeshare
order
in Cabo San Lucas. So the point of the story is we've gone to Cabo a lot, and there's a handful of times in Cabo where I don't realize it, but I'm like getting prickly, and I'm getting chronically dissatisfied because I just haven't had any of these preliminary intentional conversations going into the trip.
For sure.
About the shared experiences that collectively we like to do together. Mm-hmm. So ask any teenage girl what the UV is, and just like that, they'll tell you, it's 9. Like, you're not even wearing a watch, and you didn't watch the news today. How do you, they just know what the UV is. Okay?
We may need to help our viewers, our listeners right now, Mark. UV. I mean, in Arizona, Mark and I are from Arizona.
Yes.
Arizona UV is like, you're like, whoa, the UV. I got to block the UV.
Yeah, it's like 10 every day.
But it's very popular now for ladies to look and see what the UV is, because that's going to result in what the tan is going to bring.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm just saying that because I wouldn't have thought much about this. My youngest, Georgia, is talking about the UV the other day. She knows. They all
every
know.
Day.
And what I'm trying to say, I have no idea. I don't even know. I'm from Arizona. I don't know what they're talking about UV. So viewers, they're talking about the sun in the UV intensity and how that's going to translate to their tan.
Yes. So anything, it goes to 10. Anything in that 8, 9, 10 category, it is just like, don't talk to me. Get out of my sun.
Get out of my way.
All that I want to do is just bronze right now. Okay. I've got a TikTok cream and I just want to bronze or whatever it is.
Right. I got something from China.
Something from China that will make me golden brown.
Ordered this on Temu.
I don't care what excursion you want to do. It doesn't matter to me that there's flying dolphins that are serving martinis down by the pool. I don't care. It's a 9 UV right now, and that's all I care about.
That's right.
So this is happening by the pool multiple days. And the third day, Joel, okay, I think 7 gray hairs popped out of my temple because I was so frustrated. What are we doing? This is like the opposite of a good vacation to me. And I remember just that night, even lying in bed at the end of the night with my wife, and I just looked up at her and I'm like, this vacation sucks. Like, this just sucks. I just don't like this vacation.
Yeah.
All we're doing is laying out and eating shrimp tacos by the pool. I love shrimp tacos, but all we're doing is laying out and soaking in UV rays all day. I don't care if I'm golden brown when I go back, if I have no excursions or no memories to create. Yeah. So anyways, I can't stress enough the importance of having these mutual shared conversations of what we all like to do together. Yeah. Could even be a restaurant.
Yeah.
Definitely. But it could be, it doesn't have to be, my family is never going to jump up and down and say, Dad, I want to go into a cage and go great white diving with you.
Yeah.
You would.
I would.
I know.
I would, yes.
I know, and I want to do that with the Untamed Few, actually. But the reality is, no, for real. I didn't show you that. That could be an adventure retreat.
Well, not to mention, we do have our adventure retreat coming up September 11th through 14th. And you're going to be hearing more and more about that. So I just want to mention that. But that's a little more adventure. That's surfing in Southern California, Oceanside. But my goodness, could you imagine getting in that shark cage? Wow. Okay.
Imagine
anyway,
the fear that is overcome and the adrenaline. I mean, it would just be awesome.
It. So yes, but I'm 100%
do this.
on board with you with the what you're talking about, because it's the competition of expectations. And I think it's so interesting. If we're not careful, then that's exactly what happens. But your kids are doing the same thing. I'm telling you what I want, what I really want. Your wife is doing, I'm telling you what I want, what I really want. You're saying, I'm telling you what I want, what I really want. Nobody's listening to each other.
Yeah. And they're probably not even saying it.
No.
They're thinking what they want, what they really want. Everybody's thinking that.
You got it.
Because even if my family or even if your family listening, if they all said, here's what I want, what I really want,
Yeah.
to some degree, as men in the untamed few, we would listen.
Right.
We would accommodate to some degree the things that they want. Nobody's saying it,
Yep.
but everybody's thinking it.
And that's how
there's tension in that.
And that's how we can win as leaders. Yeah. So when you go into the situation, you don't have to put much thought, but we want you to have a win, and we want you to have a relational connection, a memory with your family, but it takes some level of intentionality. Not a lot, but something. And that's why if we give you this framework, then you can say, hey, what are the things that we would all do together? What are the things that I really want to do? And what are the things that they want to do? Or you can do this in both areas. You can look at family, and then you can look at wife. Or if you're going on a vacation with friends or colleagues, then insert them into that and process through. But it is so important, because otherwise the unmet expectations, people say, let me see if I get this phrase right. Expectations are just premeditated disappointments.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you're setting yourself up for
right.
if you go on a vacation and you haven't put some thought into it.
Yep.
Now, this is not to criticize the overwhelming reality that when you go on vacation, a big part of the point is to be able to escape the plan, escape all of that. We want to make plenty of room for that. But if that's all you go into and you have the expectation that everything's just going to work itself out, you don't do that at a job because you know that it's not going to lead to success.
Yeah. So
don't do it on your vacation. On your vacation, take a few simple steps in order that you can be the guy that helps the whole thing win. And that's our encouragement to you. And I'm almost trying to think of examples in my own life. Maybe you have one pop up in yours. Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a quick one. And this is a bonus for the dudes that are out there, the married dudes that are out there. When we see our wives, especially wearing bathing suits all week, it's just normal and healthy as a husband that there's going to be physical drive that we have for our wives. So why not even have that expectation conversation with your wife going into vacation, family vacation as well, what that looks like, the expectations for sex. Mm-hmm. And I would encourage dudes, just a little wisdom, get it out of the way right away. In a wonderful way, hit it quick. Because it sets a great tone of connection right away.
What's the wisdom right there?
Right away.
Hit it quick.
This will
set a great tone for the vacation.
This will probably be filtered out. But it'll just, I promise you, dudes. And dudes know this. I mean, this is Captain Obvious stuff. But at the end of the day, just know that it's just, there's these expectations. We've got to have these conversations.
So let's give a scenario.
Let's do it.
What's the situation that you're trying to avoid? Because I think that's really what you're trying to articulate in that. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have this whole sexual frustration pent up,
right? And
then be sitting next to your wife on vacation, looking at her going, "Why aren't you fulfilling my needs?"
Yeah. Why are you thinking what I'm thinking right now?
And we're trying to say you will end up there. You'll end up there with your kids in a very different way, non-sexual way. But you'll end up there and everybody's basically like, why aren't you doing what I want to do on vacation? But you have such a cool opportunity to use the vacation to create connection with your kids and with your wife. Now, I want to illustrate something else too. Yeah. And that's that I think some people... All right, there's guys and they're listening, and you know what? They like to party, Mark. And so they go on vacation and it's all drinks and it's all out to dinner and it's all that kind of a thing.
It's all you can eat food, all you can eat drinks.
You got it. I'm going on vacation and I'm gorging myself. Yep. Obviously, you're talking to a guy who loves to eat. So
love to eat.
Mark loves to eat.
Love it.
So we get it. And our vacation, is that a good part of vacation? Absolutely, 100%. Why? Because you're kind of loosening the belt. You're relieving yourself. You're saying, I'm giving myself permission on this to have a little bit of fun, to do things that maybe I'm very disciplined in other times in my life. However, I really want to say this. If you go on vacation and you pitch your kids to the babysitter or put them in front of a screen and you just go out every single night drinking, I just don't know what you should expect out of your vacation if you're going to get a win or not. If you want to do that a night or two, like I want to encourage our guys to think through and not just abandon themselves to just doing whatever they want and then expect they're going to get some positive result. Because ultimately, if you don't have a win on vacation, then you go back into life and you're kind of like, well, I didn't have a win there. And it kind of sets you up for another failure when you get back. And we want you guys to succeed. We want you to succeed with your families. We want you to succeed physically. We want you to succeed in your jobs. We want you to succeed in every area, spiritually, and even mentally and emotionally. And so on that, make sure that your vacation is becoming a real win for you and your family, because you have the opportunity, so you should definitely take it.
Yeah, it's so well said. And I think I'll just share for me and my personal experience with my kids, and I think this probably applies to every guy on every vacation. I think it's pretty much a universal truth. When we think through quality time and the opportunities that we have to be able to connect to the people that we're on vacation with, to get quality time with them. Yeah. In that preliminary conversation where you're talking about mutual shared things that we all want to do, within those conversations, really think through like the deposits, even the love deposits that are being made within the soul of my kids, your kids. When I take my daughter and I know that she loves to walk the beach. Yeah. And we schedule a time, her and I, on the trip to be able to walk the beach and to be able to have conversations and me just to listen. Not to be instructing, not to be critical, but just listen and just see what God does in that time to just connect with her. Yeah. Or to be able to take my son and say, hey, you have been talking about learning how to do scuba diving. And the very next day from now, tomorrow, there's an opportunity in the pool where they're going to have some people teaching scuba diving. And just think through those things. Right. And know that the deposits of time, the commodity of time is so sacred and so precious. And yet I think in the summertime months, we kind of get a little bit lax. And on vacation at times, we can get lax, where we just kind of let it all hang out and let it all loose a little bit. And that's okay to some degree, but also let's not miss precious time and intentional moments that we can create with the people that we love and the people that we're traveling with. And when I look back on trips, even me growing up, and then I look back on trips that we've taken as a family, even back to Cabo, we've had so many shared beautiful moments. And I think a buddy of mine says this, and I love this saying, a family that plays together stays together. And I think when we find ways to play together on vacation and to create some quality time moments, there's a cohesiveness and a stickiness to that keeps people bonded. Yeah. It's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing specifically what that looked like for your daughter. And I want to try and do that real quick as well. And then we want to leave these guys with something that they can put into practice. Yeah. It's very simple, using those three categories that we've already talked about. But yeah, those walks on the beach, if you can actually get your child, your son or your daughter into that situation, gosh, it can be so meaningful, but it is critical that you don't, well, I say critical. It is important that you're not critical is the point. And I find myself doing that all the time. And I want to just make sure that I say that, because I think a lot of fathers struggle with that sort of a thing. I find my conversation, I listen to maybe, one of my girls talk about a situation, and then I give advice. And what I've learned with girls, and I have to really be intentional to practice, is to just listen, just to hear them. Wow, how did that feel? Like actively engage them on that. And so whether it be a walk on the beach, or as I'm considering what I'll do in vacations later on this summer and in the fall, my daughter Lily likes to golf. And that's something that we can do together. So I've got to make sure that I do that, right? Because again, I go on vacation. I like to golf, but when you're in a different city, you got to kind of make the plans. You got to find the course. You got to do all that kind of stuff. It's not that hard. But I think, if we really get into vacation mode, we won't do even that. And so that's something that I want to do with her. And then I think about my wife and what she wants versus what I want. And we opened with, the food piece and what that is. And uniquely, we've found that there are a few places that everybody enjoys going. And I don't shy away. I'm kind of a foodie, so I hesitate to go to places, these big, huge tourist restaurants, especially that you'll find down Destin and Panama City Beach and 30A and stuff. But man, the family has tended to love that McGuire's Irish pub down there. So I guess they're getting a shout out right now. But that becomes a place where everybody's happy to go. So even if I'm not 100% excited about it, or it seems like generally the whole family likes it, I'm just encouraging people to find that. What is it that everybody likes to do, not just you? Then what is it that your wife likes to do, not just you? And when I think about my wife, she's very similar with the Rays, only with a caveat. She wants to be out there with a book by the ocean. And oh man, to see the smile on her face, it really is a cool thing for me to watch. But also she does want to be alone. And that's a hard thing for me because I'm an extreme extrovert and I always want to be near her, especially on vacation. I want to be having fun with her, and I'm super active. So it's like I want to drag her into my activities, but I have to be careful to make space for her to be able to sit on that beach and read a book. So that means me playing with the kids, me taking them somewhere or doing so that she can have that space where nobody's trying to capture her attention. She's just sitting there and she's reading in the environment that she wants to be. And I'll tell you what, that has a lot of fruit in the end.
It does.
But what does it take right off the bat? It's asking, what do you want? And I've got to make sure that I check off that category, that it's not what I want, it's not what all of us want, it's what she wants. And I'm probably going to have to sacrifice a little or make sure that I give into that category so that she can have what she wants.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful way, again, as we close it out with these 3 really important steps. I think that probably is the most important first step, is to really hear our wives and hear the people that we're going with.
Yep.
What is it that you really want in this time away? What do you want to do? What does that look like? Because how they're really responding, whether they don't say this, maybe yes or no, I don't know, but it's giving you an understanding of how they're going to recharge. So your wife is recharging in that time. And that's really what she ultimately wants, I'm sure, on vacation, is a bit of a recharge. So we hear all that, what everybody really is wanting on vacation. And then we kind of transition, obviously, that we know what we want on vacation too. So that's been clearly established. And then we go into that really important step, which is probably that most important, hard first step, is mutually, what are some things that all of us can do together?
Yeah. And so here are three ways to put it together. All right. Step 1, fill those categories out. And if you don't do anything else, make sure you do that because it at least gets your mind right. Yeah. But then the second step that you should take is you should have some sort of a discussion at the dinner table, should have some sort of a text stream if you're with colleagues or people. What do you want to do? And that's a much better way to start something. And this is for you, I guess people say type A personalities or however you like to classify yourself. But don't send the text message and say, I was thinking, and then give this big long list because people hate that. And if you don't know that they hate that, they hate it.
Yes.
So what you do is you say, hey, does anybody have any suggestions for what you'd like to do on the trip, right? At the dinner table, ask your kids, is there anything that you'd like to do on the trip? And then you can kind of throw out, I was thinking, because you just made your list, right? What about this? What about that? What do you think? And then you hear from them and you get the feedback. Then it's going to give you real clear indicators of what you should move forward on. If the family can make a decision together, that's the best win. Yeah. That's such a cool thing. Finally, third step, play it out. Do it on the vacation, because I'll tell you what, you can make the plans, then you go on vacation, feel vacation mode, come on. And the remote's in your hand and you start clicking through that, clicking through TV channels instead of actually implementing what you made a plan for.
It's so good. We wish, let's do a last cheers.
Dude, let's do it.
Everybody, a great vacation.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Untamed.
That's
Enjoy
right.
the time away.
Yeah, have a great vacation.
If this episode sparked something in you, please subscribe and even share it with someone who's ready to take their life to the next level. We're always on the hunt for men who are looking to become untamed and release their untamed potential. Also, if you found value in this conversation, then please rate the podcast and leave a comment. It makes a huge impact in building our community. We'll see you next time when the adventure continues, or maybe when yours begins.